Time for our ETF Spotlight. Mike Santoli today taking a look at what else. The bank stocks moving lower on the back of better earnings. Hasn't been a good year to be long the banks.
No, especially not the big banks, Sarah. And of course, Jim was just talking about how much he loves the ETFs and how the tail wags the dog with the bank stocks. It's clearly one of those areas, though, that people do tend to choose to play through ETFs to a large degree. But here's a chart showing different segments of the financial sector in terms of market cap and type of institution and how they've performed differently over the course of this year. That green line is basically the financial sector, the small cap 600. So domestic, small, has worked in financials as well, of course, in the general broader market. KRE is the regional banks dominated by some of the larger regional banks, but that has held up relatively well. KBW Bank Index ETF down 2% on the whole. So clearly this has been a similar story. It hasn't really been able to get out of its own way in terms of the large caps, but naturally those smaller cap financials still seem to work. And by the way, David likes when I point out that the XLF, which is the financial sector ETF that everyone always uses as shorthand for the banks, well, the biggest holding is Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, so you got 11.5% of that fund in Berkshire Hathaway. You're not exactly getting a play on the banks. You're getting a lot of stuff, but not bank exposure.
That's great info.
I mean,
really
it's about the same as JP Morgan's weighting in the
That's
XLF.
interesting. Yeah,
it's great.
So what's the purest play on the banks then?
Well, KBWB is pretty pure in terms of the larger banks. You know, some of them are equal weighted. There's a lot of ways to slice and dice.
Regionals versus big banks. I mean, you mentioned
it's worked.
It's been a diverging path this year.
Yes. I mean, the big ones seem like they're captive to the idea that they're going to have a hard time growing and also the international stuff in the yield curve. But the regionals, where it's more of a domestic economy play, working.
You think PNC is kind of out of sync?
I don't know. I mean, PNC is, first of all, nobody talks about the BlackRock thing with PNC, right?
True, a hidden asset.
They still own a ton.
Yeah.
And I always think that's interesting.
Look, I slammed the heck out of them on that last quarter. This is a good quarter.
So.
Jim, thank you for sticking around with us.
I'm not going.
Oh, you want to
No, I am going.
Are you
My
leaving
wife
or not?
Lisa will kill me. I got to start gardening, too. I want to grow and start weeding. Are you allowed to say that you want to grow?
Start weeding tonight?
I love weeding.
Do you really enjoy weeding?
When I get in that garden, David, I am gone.
Those pictures you send out on Twitter are amazing.
Just don't try to export any of those.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I studied the Dalai Lama.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.